The helicopter angled in for another pass as I raced the red 1966 Alfa Romeo Spider across the 7-mile bridge heading toward the Florida Keys. I know what you're thinking. You saw this in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie True Lies. On the positive side, the bridge wasn't being blown up around me, nor were Tia Carrera and Jamie Lee Curtis having a catfight in the back seat. On the negative side, the pilot of the helicopter was batshit crazy. "Keep your eyes on the road," Kelly said, raising her voice to be heard above the wind. Kelly Chan, my friend and magically engineered protector, sat in the passenger seat. She wore a skin-tight black leotard and held a katana in her right hand laying along the door of the convertible sports car. "He's closing," Esther said and pointed through my head, which was a bit distracting. Esther is a ghost from the 1920s flapper era. Yes, she's a friend too. Without Esther and Kelly, I'd have been killed dozens of times. I glanced over again to check the position of the helicopter as I stomped on the accelerator, taking us to 125 miles per hour. I whipped around other cars like they were in park. Horns blared. "Shouldn't we be cranking out Sammy Hagar's I Can't Drive 55? I asked. "Shut up and drive," Kelly said. The chopper dropped down on us and smashed the windshield with the right landing skid. Then it bounced off and did a lazy turn to angle around and come back again. "That guy is off his rocker," I said. "He could get us killed." "Is it time for me to take him out?" Kelly asked. "Is he your type?" I asked. She glared at me. "Yes," I said. "It's definitely time to take him out. My heart can only take so many close calls. The landing skid damn near smacked me in the head that time." "Your cheek is bleeding," Esther said. I reached up and touched my face. My fingers came away bloody. "God damn it," I said. "Here he comes again," Esther said, her translucent hand beside my head this time. "I see him." "Adjust your speed," Kelly said and stood on her seat. The wind whipped her hair back, and for a moment I thought it might tear the sword from her hand. Her grip was true, and she stepped over the broken windshield onto the hood of the car. She balanced there without even bracing against the cracked and broken glass. She leaned forward, and I felt the drag on the car as she cut down our aerodynamics. "I hope that sword is strong enough," I said, though there was no way she could hear me from where she stood. I worked to hold the car steady. We had a clear road ahead for a good ways. The helicopter lowered itself in front of us a quarter-mile ahead. The pilot flew straight at us in a game of chicken, keeping his altitude at 4 feet above the ground. Ocean stretched out on one side, while the bridge heading back to the mainland stood on the other. Kelly would get only one shot at this, and if the pilot angled forward, the rotor blades would slice her to ribbons, and magically engineered or not, she would be splattered all over the car and the road. "We should scram," Esther said. "I can't watch this." The helicopter pulled up at the last second, whipping over the car. As it passed, Kelly launched herself into the air, slammed her sword through the glass door on the passenger side of the helicopter, and held on for dear life. I stood on the brakes. Tires screeched, smoke billowed around us, and I spun the car around to a stop at the side of the bridge. I bolted from the Spider and shaded my eyes with my hands as I watched Kelly get a foot onto the landing skid. She yanked open the helicopter door and climbed inside. I breathed a sigh of relief. She was all right. The helicopter did a lazy turn to head back toward us. Oncoming cars slowed and stopped, blocking the bridge. I grabbed a radio from the back seat. The director's voice shouted, "Cut!" The Pace helicopter landed on the road between the Spider and the stopped traffic. A cameraman ran to the Spider and checked the cameras mounted on the side, front, and in the back seat. "Was Kelly on her mark?" Esther asked. "Of course," I said. We had a small piece of black tape on the hood so Kelly would be properly framed in the 2 car cameras, assuming the wind or the jarring from the helicopter impacts had knocked them out of whack. "That was the cat's meow," Esther said with a big smile. We were shooting the master shot, meaning we'd have to go back and film close-ups and medium shots later, though they'd want the actors for that, so we might have the rest of the day off. The effects crew could digitally erase the camera from the side of the car should it show up in frame. "You're fucking up my movie," Jean Fournier, the second unit director, said to the assistant director. "I'm fucking your wife." Tim, the AD, said with a grin. They talked like that all the time, and most of the crew thought they were kidding, but I sensed a bit of animosity under the surface. Having seen the director's wife, if the AD was doing her, he was earning his money. That said, I didn't peg either of them as the murderer, but I couldn't cross them off the list just yet. Yes, I said murderer. I wasn't working as a stuntman on a movie for my health. Kelly, Esther, and I were on a case. Why didn't I lead with that? Here's how it started. I was kicking back in the Bahamas, working on my tan, when my cell phone buzzed. I saw it was my friend, Brenda Slaughter. She's a wizard who works for DGI, that's Dragon Gate Industries to the uninitiated, and we sometimes slept together. I took the call thinking she might have the weekend off. Hey, hot stuff, I said. Hey, sexy man, she said. Should I book a flight to the Big Apple? I wish this was a pleasure call, though it is nice to hear your voice. If Monica needs something, tell her I'm swamped. Monica was my older sister, and she ran the New York office. I'm actually calling on behalf of my cousin, Angela. I'm listening. Her fiancé was murdered, and the cops aren't helping because it was listed as an accident. A stunt gone bad. Terrell was working as a stuntman on an action movie being shot on location in Florida. Angela is doing some of the special effects. She thinks Terrell was murdered, and I was hoping maybe you could look into it. They won't want a private investigator poking around on a movie set. I lined up jobs for you and Kelly. Didn't you ever want to be in pictures? We flirted a bit, and she promised to do a few things to me that I won't share here because it's private, but I was definitely looking forward to my next trip to Manhattan. So, now we were in Florida. You tell me, open with a phone call or open with a helicopter stunt? Yeah, that's what I thought too.